Hello and welcome. I actually am getting it recorded this week. I actually didn't think I was going to get this recorded. Um, and so I sent out last year's but I have some time today before our Torah portion calls, and so I'm going to get it done. Sorry, this is Lanita. I'm your scrappy grandma, and I this is our weekly Bible reading, and we are in, oh my gosh, I closed my page. And I'm going to need it open. Sorry about that. I'm not prepared. Chukat and Balak. Okay. So this is actually a double portion. And so it's the 39th and 40th portion of this year's cycle. And it is Numbers 19:1 through 25:9. And the prophets, it's Micah, and it's 5:6 through 6:8. And then in the Gospels, it's John 19:38 through 42 and Matthew 21:1 through 11. And it is Chukat and Balak. Chukat means statute, and Balak means Balak. It's a name. So Chukat, Balak, the 39th and 40th Torah portions recount the Israelites' journey and struggles in the wilderness. Hukat includes the mysterious law of the red heifer, which is really coming into the news and stuff now because they have a few potential red heifers to be able to do the purification rituals to then be able to start up the building of the third temple and the sacrificial system again, which is prophesied, which is interesting. Um, let's see here. So it includes the mysterious law of the red heifer, Miriam's death, Moses' striking the rock instead of speaking to it, Aaron's death, and the fiery serpents with healing brought through the bronze serpent. Balak tells of the Moabite king Balak hiring the prophet Balaam to curse Israel, but God compels Balaam to bless instead, famously declaring, "How lovely are your tents, O Jacob." Matovu. Balaam's donkey speaks when confronted by an angel, highlighting divine intervention. The Israelites later falter, drawn into Moabite adultery. They curse to themselves, and a plague ensues, stopped by Pincus, Phineas, bold action. Together, these portions emphasize faith in God, divine protection, and the consequences of leadership and obedience. So, and it is a longer portion because it's a double portion. So let's get started and not waste any more time. Um, Father God, I lift this up as a sacrifice to you, Father. This is all for your glory, for just to go out and cause others to fall in love with your word, who reveals your character, to fall in love with you, to want to spend time with you in your word, to learn more about you, Father. Stir up that hunger in all of us, Father. Give us a hunger and a thirst for your word, Father. This well, this beautiful well of your living water, which is Yeshua, our Messiah. Thank you for your word. Thank you for this opportunity to share the love of your word. Father, bless us today with giving us, um, open our eyes to the truths that you want to reveal to us through this portion. In Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, so let me share my screen. It's that one. Takes a second. There we go. Share. All right. So let's see. There we go. Okay. So the laws of purification, we start in Numbers 19:1. Adonai said to Moshe and to Aaron, This is the regulation from the Torah which Adonai has commanded. Tell the people of Israel to bring you a young red female without fault or defect, which has never borne a yoke. You are to give it to Eleazar the Cohen. It is to be brought outside the camp and slaughtered in front of him. Eleazar the Cohen is to take some of its blood with his finger and sprinkle this blood toward the front of the tent of meeting 7 times. The heifer is to be burned to ashes before his eyes. Its skin, meat, blood, and dung is to be burned to ashes. The Cohen is to take cedar wood, hyssop, scarlet yarn, and throw them into the heifer as onto the heifer as it is burning up. Cedar wood, Yeshua on the cross, hyssop. They use the hyssop branch, one in the above the lentils in putting the blood, but also they use a hyssop branch, I think, to put up the sponge of vinegar, and the scarlet yarn, his blood, and the scarlet yarn that's tied around the Azazel goat. There's just so many different layers here. The Cohen is to wash his clothes and himself with water, after which he may re-enter the camp, but the Cohen will remain unclean until evening. And notice that it's Eleazar now is the Cohen because, wait a minute, did Aaron die yet? I don't know if Aaron, but they made Eleazar, I think Aaron died last week. Sorry, my brain is so all over the place. We will find out. Let's read. But you notice that Eleazar is the Cohen now. Eleazar, okay. And he's unclean until evening. So the person who burned up the heifer is to wash his clothes and himself in water, but he will remain unclean until evening. A man who is clean is to collect the ashes of the heifer and store them outside of the camp in a clean place. They are to be kept for the community of the people of Israel to prepare water for purification from sin. The one who collected the ashes of the heifer is to wash his clothes and be unclean until evening. For the people of Israel and for the foreigner staying with them, this is to be a permanent regulation. So this is for the Jew and the Gentile. It's for everyone who is following in the way of the Messiah. Anyone who touches a corpse, no matter whose dead body it is, will remain unclean for 7 days. He must purify himself with these ashes, the ashes from the red heifer. That's why it's so important that these ashes start everything in the purification system for the priests and for the tabernacle. That's why right now they have a few candidates in Israel, and one just came about last week or so. It's a new heifer, a little baby, and they're keeping a really good eye on it and inspecting it for impure, to make sure that it's pure and doesn't have any other color hairs on it. And so all of these years, this has not happened, and they need to replenish this stock of ashes for the purification rituals for the third temple. Which it's so interesting that we are living in biblical time, prophecy times. Anyone who touches a corpse, no matter whose dead body it is, and does not purify himself, has defiled the tabernacle of Adonai. That person will be cut off from Israel because the water for purification was not sprinkled on him. He will be unclean, and his uncleanliness is still on him. This is the law. When a person dies in a tent, everyone who enters the tent and everything in the tent will be unclean for 7 days. Every open container without a cover closely attached is unclean. Also, whoever is in an open field and touches a corpse, whether if someone killed by a weapon or of someone who died naturally, or the bone of a person or a grave, will be unclean for 7 days. For the unclean person, they are to take some of the ashes of the animal burned up in this purification from sin, will add them to fresh water in a container. A clean person is to take a bunch of hyssop leaves. There we go, hyssop again. Dip it in the water and sprinkle it on the tent and all the containers on the people who were there and the person who touched the bone or the person who killed or the one who died naturally or the grave. The person will sprinkle the unclean person on the third and seventh days. On the seventh day, he will purify him. Then he will wash his clothes and wash himself in water, and he will be clean at evening. The person who remains unclean and does not purify himself will be cut off from the community because he has defiled the sanctuary of Adonai, and the water for purification has not been sprinkled on him. He is unclean. This is to be a permanent regulation. The person who sprinkles the water for purification is to wash his clothes. Whoever touches the water for purification will be unclean until evening. Anything the unclean person touches will be unclean, and everyone who touches him will be unclean until evening. 20. The death of Miriam. The people of Israel, the whole community, entered the Zin desert in the first month, and they stayed at Kadesh. There Miriam died, and there she was buried. The waters of Meribah. So this is really interesting, and there's some legends, of this water that, well, let me read. It's going to go away. So the waters of Meribah, because the community had no water, they assembled themselves against Moshe and Aaron. So the legends are tied in with Miriam's death that, miraculously before, when they were out of water, the father had Moses strike a rock with his staff, and the water came out of the rock. And legend has it, and this is Jewish legend, that this rock literally followed them around throughout the wilderness and produced water. It's also called a well in some places, which, think, who is our rock? Yeshua. Who is our well with living water? Yeshua. Remember he told the woman at the well, that if you drink from his well, you'll never be thirsty again. And so, and the legend has it that this water was attributed to Miriam's uprightness. And when she died, the water stopped flowing. Now we're also getting ready, they're right on the other side of the Jordan. They have water there at the river, maybe not here at Kadesh, and I'm not sure where Kadesh is, but I mean they're preparing to enter into the promised land, and they're entering the Jordan. But interesting, the water from this well, rock, whatever it was, dried up. And they say because Miriam passed. So it's just interesting how it goes straight from the death of Miriam to because the community had no water. They assembled themselves against Moshe and Aaron, and the people quarreled with Moshe and said, "We wish we had died when our brothers died before Adonai. Why did you bring Adonai's community into the desert to die? We and our livestock." Remember, before it was we and our children. And yeah. "Why did you make us leave Egypt?" Make them leave Egypt? To bring us to this terrible place without seed, fig, grapevines, pomegranates, or even water to drink. I mean, they are in the desert. There's nothing growing there. The only provisions they had were what he provided. Moshe and Aaron left the assembly, went to the entrance of the tent of meeting, and fell on their faces, which is their habit, should be ours. And the glory of Adonai appeared to them. And Adonai said to Moshe, "Take the staff, assemble the community, you and Aharon your brother, and before their eyes tell the rock to produce its water. You will bring them water out of the rock, and thus enable the community and their livestock to drink." Moshe took the staff from the presence of Adonai as he had ordered. Okay, he's saying, before all of the congregation's eyes, tell the rock. This is huge here. Now imagine if it went that way. He goes to the rock and he speaks, "Rock, produce your water again," or "produce your water." And the water came out of it. It's going to go straight to the Most High. He gets all the glory. But sadly, Moshe, he let his emotions get to him and ended up not doing what the Father had asked and ends up paying for it horribly. Moses strikes the rock, not tells the rock. But after Moshe and Aaron had assembled the community in front of the rock, he said to them, "Listen here, you rebels." So here he's even, he's cursing them right there. Are we supposed to bring you water from this rock? Are we supposed to bring you water from this rock? Then Moshe raised his hand and hit the rock twice with his staff, and water flowed out in abundance, and the community and their livestock drank. But Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, because you did not, okay, Aaron's still alive. Sorry, I was ahead of myself. So sorry. So I figured Miriam died first, then Aaron, then Moses. Because you did not trust in me so as to cause me to be regarded as holy by the people of Israel, you will not bring this community into the land I have given them. So because he didn't just speak to the rock and let the Father do the work, he physically hit it twice, and that disgraced the Father. It did a physical act instead of letting the Father do his spiritual act. So this is Merivah spring, disputation spring, where the people of Israel disputed with Adonai, and he was caused to be regarded as holy by them. Edom refuses passage. Okay, so now they're moving forward, and Moses sent messengers from Kadesh to the king of Edom. This is what your brother Israel says. Remember, this is Esau, Jacob, Esau. This is what your brother Israel says. You know all the troubles we have gone through, that our ancestors went down into Egypt. We lived in Egypt a long time, and the Egyptians treated us and our ancestors badly. But when we cried out to Adonai, he heard us, and he sent an angel and brought us out of Egypt. Now here we are in Kadesh, a city at the edge of your territory. Please let us pass through your land. We will not go through fields or vineyards, and we won't drink any of your water from your wells. We will go along the king's highway, not turning aside either to the right or to the left until we have left your territory. So, they've been wandering in the desert now for 40 years. And all of these other nations, they've been following what's been going on. They've been hearing the stories and all of that. And so they know what's been happening, and Israel's asking to just peaceably pass through their land to get to the promised land. But Edom answered, "You are not to pass through my land. If you do, I will come out against you with the sword." The people of Israel replied, "We will keep to the highway. If we do drink the water, either we or our livestock, we will pay for it. Just let us pass through on foot. It's nothing." But he said, "You are not to pass through." And Edom came out against them with many people and much force. Then Edom refused to allow Israel passage through its territory, so Israel turned away. Now it's the death of Aaron. They traveled on from Kadesh, and the people of Israel and the whole community arrived at Mount Hor. At Mount Hor, by the border at the land of Edom, Adonai said to Moshe and Aaron, "Aaron is about to be gathered to his people because he is not to enter the land I have to give to the people of Israel, inasmuch as you rebelled against me, what I said at the Merivah spring. Take Aaron and Eleazar his son and bring them up to Mount Hor." Okay, so before they gave the red heifer to Eleazar, he wasn't the high priest, probably because the high priest cannot touch a dead corpse, period. That's why it didn't go to Aaron and have Aaron do it, the priest below him. But no, because they can't touch. Oh, that's why he didn't touch it. He was watching. They had other people doing the work in his presence. That's right. So because Eleazar becomes high priest, and from what I understand, a high priest can never touch a corpse through their entire body. I mean, through their entire life, um, or it disqualifies them. So, yeah. Remove the garments from Aaron and put them on Eleazar his son. See, now he's going to become high priest. Aaron will be gathered to his people, and he will die there. Moshe did as Adonai had ordered. They went up to Mount Hor before the eyes of the whole community. Moshe removed his garment from Aaron and put them on Eleazar his son, and Aaron died there at the top of the mountain. Then Moshe and Eleazar came down the mountain. When the entire community saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned Aaron 30 days and the whole house of Israel. Arad destroyed. The king of Arad, a Canaanite who lived in the Negev, heard that Israel was approaching by the way of the Atrim. So he attacked Israel and took some of them captive. Israel made a vow to Adonai, if you will hand this people over to me, I will completely destroy their cities. Adonai listened to what Israel said and handed over the Canaanite so that they completely destroyed them and their cities and named the place Hormah, complete destruction. The bronze serpent, and that points us to our Messiah. So the bronze serpent, they arrived, I'm sorry, then they traveled from Mount Hor on the road towards the Sea of Suf in order to go around the land of Edom, but the people's tempters grew short because of the detour. The people spoke against God and against Moses. Why did you bring us up out of Egypt to die in the desert? You would have thought they would have it's been 40 years of the same complaints, generation to generation. Oh my gosh. Although, we look at our lives and we still, yeah, we do exactly the same thing. So why did you bring us out of Egypt to die in the desert? There's no real food, there's no water, and we're sick of this miserable stuff we're eating. They're sick of the manna. Man, discontent. Discontent brings such curses on us. And that's if we could just and I can tell you, I did nothing. I did nothing but be obedient. Honestly, there's no formula, there's nothing I can say that I did except for just continue to say yes as he's led me, but I see the blessings that come from obedience and the curses that come from disobedience and discontent, being discontent. And he changed something in me, thankfully, because this is not was not my nature, but he is now making it my nature. And it's beautiful. And even through really difficult days, I still find myself just walking around saying, thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you for my home. Thank you for my family. Thank you for my husband. Thank you for my chickens. Thank you for my garden. Thank you for my grandchildren. And so just for the blessings you're pouring out on us. I just find myself living in thankfulness, and what a transformation it has made just in my overall life to focus. And a lot of times I'm not even focusing on anything in particular. I'm just so incredibly thankful. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be living in the times that we're living in. I'm thankful to be walking in his ways. I'm just thankful. And the blessings that you live under when you live in contentment and thanksgiving is just a crazy. And then the torment and the curses you live under when you're living in discontentment of, this sucks and this is bad and I don't like this and I didn't want it to go that way and whatever. And like I said, I did nothing. He just, this is part of where I'm at in my journey, is what he has revealed and how it's manifested into my life. I did nothing to get here except for say, okay, yes, here I am, whatever you ask. So, but we're sick of this miserable stuff we're eating. Oh, Father. Uh, in response, Adonai sent poisonous snakes. See, there you go. Not lightning bolts, but poisonous snakes. Among the people, they bit the people, and many of Israel's people died. The people came to Moshe and said, we sinned. by speaking against Adonai and against you. Pray to Adonai that he rids us of these snakes. And Moshe prayed to the people. And Adonai answered Moshe, and make a poisonous snake and put it on a pole. Then anyone who is bitten sees it, he will live. And Moshe made a bronze snake and put it on the pole. If a snake had bitten someone, then they would look towards the bronze snake and they stayed alive. You know, up on the pole, we look to it and we live. Yeshua on the pole, and the stake, the tree, the cross, whatever it was. But we look to him and his sacrifice for us, and we live, even though we've been poisoned by the world. The Song of the Well. The people of Israel traveled on and camped at Ovat. From Ovat, they traveled and camped at Aye Ha-Avarim in the desert, fronting Moab on the east. And from there, they traveled and camped at the Wadi Zered. Yeah, so they're nowhere close. No wonder they needed water out there in the desert, because they're no close. I thought they were closer to the Jordan than they were. They still have quite a ways to go here. So from there, they traveled and camped on the other side of the Arnon in the desert. This river comes out of the territory of the Emori, for the Arnon is the boundary between Moab and Emori. This is why it says in the book of the wars of Adonai, Yahav at Safa, the Vadis of Arnon, and the slope of the Vadis extending as far as the site of Ar, which lie next to the territory of Moab. From there, they went to Beor, or Beer, well. That is the well about which Adonai said to Moshe, assemble the people and I will give them water. So it was a rock, now it's a well. Interesting. Both, though, point to Yeshua. The Israel sang this song, Spring Up, O Well, sing to the well. Sing to the well, sunk by the princes, dug by the people's leaders. Wait. So from there they went on to Beor. That is the well which Adonai said to Moshe, assemble the people and I will give them water. Okay, maybe this is different. They've been traveling, then they've come to a well. This well, Beor. Okay, and so then Israel sang the song, Spring Up, O Well, sing to the well, sung by the princes, dug by the people's leaders with the scepter, with their staffs. From the desert, they went to Matna. From Matna to Nachali, from Nachali to Bamat, and from Bamat to the valley by the plain of Moab, at the start of the Pisgah range, where it overlooks the desert. And then King Sihon is defeated. Israel sent messages to Sihon, king of Emori, with this message: let us pass through your land, and we won't turn aside into the fields of the vineyards, and we won't drink any water from the wells. We will go along the king's highway until we have left your territory. But Sihon would not allow Israel to pass through his territory. Instead, Sihon mustered all of his people and went out into the desert to fight Israel. On reaching Yahat, he found Israel. Israel defeated him by force of arms and took control of his land from the Arnon to the Yabok River, but only as far as the people of Ammon, because the territory of the people of Ammon was well defended. Israel took all the cities. Israel lived in all of the cities of Emori in Heshbon and all of its surrounding towns. Now they've been camping out in the desert, and now they're taking these cities that are already built for them. Heshbon was a city of Sihon, and the king of Emori, who had fought against the former king of Moab and conquered all of his land up to Arnon. This is why the storytellers say, come to Heshbon, let it be rebuilt. Let Sion's city be restored. For the fire burst out of Heshbon, a flame from the city of Sion. It consumed Ar of Moab. The lords of Arnon's high places. Woe to you, Moab! You are destroyed, people of Chemosh. He let the sons be fugitives and his daughters captives of Sihon, king of the Emori. We shot them down. Heshbon is destroyed all the way to Devon. We even laid waste to Naphach, which extends as far as Medava. One day I hope to be able to speak Hebrew and speak it correctly. King of Og defeated. Now they've defeated one king. Now, thus Israel lived in the land of Emori. So they've moved into this land, and Moshe sent men to reconnoiter Jazer. They captured its towns and drove out Emori who were there. They then turned and went up along the road to Bashan, and Og, the king of Bashan, marched out against them, he with all his people, to fight at Edrei. Adonai said to Moshe, "Don't be afraid of him, for I have handed him over to you with all his people and his land, and you will treat him just as you did Sihon, the king of Emori, who lived at Heshbon." So they struck him down and his sons and all the people until there was no one left alive, and they took control of that land. 22. Balak summers Balaam. This is really this story has so many layers, and each year more and more layers bubble up, and it's an incredible story, and it feeds into so many things in our lives, real life things with speaking blessings and cursings and just in how we conduct ourselves and who our allegiance is to and the powers and the spiritual thing. It just there's so much, but let's see what the Father has us talk about today with it. So then the people of Israel traveled on and camped in the plains of Moab beyond the Yarden River. So now they're at the Jordan, opposite Jericho. So they're on the other side of the Jordan. Jericho's on the other side. This is how we're getting progressing in our timeline here of when they cross. And, after now Miriam and Aaron are both dead, Moses is the last one to go. Now Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel had done in Emori. I told you that these stories are spreading throughout these nations. And Moab was very afraid of the people because there were so many of them. And Moab was overcome with dread because of the people of Israel. So Moab said to the leaders of Midian, "This horde will lick up everything around us the way ox licks up grass in the field." Balak, Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of Moab at the time. So these are the Moabites. We've got a long history of Moabites before and after, um, not a great history, but then an awesome history on the other side with Ruth. So, redeemed. He sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Peor by the Euphrates River in the native land, and to tell him, "Listen, a people has come out of Egypt, spread over all of the land to settle down next to me. Therefore, please come and curse this people for me, because they are stronger than I, and maybe I will be able to strike them down and drive them out of the land. For I know that whoever you bless is in fact blessed, and whoever you curse is in fact cursed." Interesting here. So is Balaam is he's able to bless and curse, and that comes from the Most High. So he's got an interesting relationship with the Most High. And Moab knows that he's not going to be able to defeat them physically, so he's got to go and defeat them spiritually. And so the leaders of Moab and Midian, okay, so yeah, the leaders of Moab and Midian left, taking with them the payment for divining. He got paid. So Balaam is a prophet and a seer and a soothsayer. And so he has spiritual abilities given by the Most High, but he sells it to the highest bidder. He he sells his services for gain. Um,
So he came to Balaam and he spoke to him the words of Balak. He said to them, they're taking him money to get him to do this job. He said to them, "Stay here tonight, and I will bring you back an answer, whatever answer Adonai tells me." So the princes of Moab stayed with Balaam. And God came to Balaam and said, "Who are these men with you?" And Balaam said to God, "Balak, the son of Zippor, king of Moab, has sent me this message. The people who came out of Egypt have spread over the land. Now come and curse them for me. Maybe I will be able to fight against them and drive them out." And God answered Balaam, "You are not to go with them. You are not to curse the people because they are blessed." Okay, so here's his instruction. Boom. You're not to do this. Okay. And so this reminds me of my grandkids and it reminds me of us, you know. Well, but, is there a loophole? Is there a way we can get around it? Can we argue our way through this? So Balaam got up in the morning and he said to the princes of Balak, "Return to your own land because Adonai refuses to give me permission to go with you." He's not allowed. The princes of Moab got up, returned to Balak, and said, "Balaam refuses to come with us." Balak again sends princes, more of them and of higher status than the first group. They went to Balaam and said to him, "Here's what Balak, son of Zippor, says. Please don't let anything keep you from coming to me. I will reward you very well, and whatever you say to me, I will do. So please come and curse this people for me." So originally he asked, he was told no, and he was obedient. "No, I can't do this." But does the enemy usually stop there? No. Or even the father, I'm learning that the father, I give credit to the enemy with things that it is actually the father doing it. We think that anything bad or uncomfortable is the enemy, and it's not always the father. He approves of blessings and cursings, and we're allowed to learn lessons along this journey for his benefit and ours. And so he tests us in these things. And so it's a test. Will you really be obedient? We get that a lot. Um, Balaam answered the servant of Balak, "Even if Balak were to give me his palace filled with silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of Adonai, my God, to do anything great or small." Here we go. "Now, please, you two stay here tonight so that I may find out what else Adonai might say to me." Okay, that's fair. I mean, but he's already been told no. But let's go seek the Father again and see if we can have some more clarity. Makes sense. So God came to Balaam during the night and said to him, "If the men have come to summon you, get up and go with them, but do only what I tell you to." Okay, so here did he relent? To me, he relented because he had a purpose, because of course I've read this and I see what ended up happening. Um, but he came back and okay, go ahead, but only speak what you're told. So Balaam got up in the morning and he saddled his donkey and he went with the princes of Moab. See here, but here, Balaam's donkey and the angel. So God's anger flared up because he went. Okay, so here he said, "Go ahead and go," but then he went, and then he gets upset because he should have listened to the original. No, no means no. That's what dealing with my grandchildren. No means no. I did with my kids. No means no, and it's hard to hold that boundary. But what a lesson when no means no, and just when you're told, then let it go. Don't go back and ask again when you're told no, straight out no. The donkey saw the angel of Adonai standing in the road, drawn sword in hand. So the donkey turned off of the road into the field, and Balaam had to beat the donkey to get it back on the road. When the angel of Adonai stood on the road where it became narrow as it passed among the vineyards and had stone walls on both sides, the donkey saw the angel and pushed up against the wall, crushing Balaam's foot against the wall. So he beat it again. The angel of the Lord moved ahead and stood at a place so tight that there was no room to turn right or left, either right or left. And again, the donkey saw the angel of Adonai and laid down under Balaam, which made him so angry that he hit the donkey with a stick. But Adonai enabled the donkey to speak, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" Balaam said to the donkey, "It's because you've been making a fool of me. I wish I had my sword in my hand. I would have killed you on the spot." The donkey said to Balaam, I'm your donkey, right? You've ridden me all your life, right? Have I ever treated you like this before? No, he admitted. Then Adonai opened Balaam's eyes so that he could see the angel of Adonai standing in the way with his drawn sword in his hand, and he bowed his head and he fell on his face. And the angel of Adonai said to him, why do you hit your donkey 3 times like that? I have come out here to bar your way because you are rushing to oppose me. The donkey saw me and turned aside these 3 times. And indeed, if she hadn't turned away from me, I would have killed you by now and saved it alive. Balaam said to the angel of Adonai, I have sinned, and I didn't know that you were standing on the road to block me. Now, therefore, if what I am doing displeases you, I will go back. But the angel of Adonai said to Balaam, no, go on with the men, but you are to say only what I tell you to say. So Balaam went along with the princes of Balak. See, so this is so confusing. You know, now he's again, and I guess this is where he turns all things, what's meant for evil, he turns to good. Um, then Balak heard that Balaam had come. He went out to meet him in the city of Moab at the Arnon border in the farthest reaches of the territory. Balak said to Balaam, I sent more than once to summon you. Why didn't you come to me? Didn't you think I could pay you enough? And Balaam replied to Balak, here, I've come to you, but I have no power of my own to say anything. The word that God puts in my mouth is what I will say, sorry. Balaam went with Balak when they arrived at Kiryat Hatzot. Balak sacrificed cattle and sheep, then sent to Balaam and the princes sent to Balaam the princes with him. In the morning, Balak took Balaam and before brought him up to the high places of Baal. From there, he could see a portion of the people. Balaam's first oracle. Balaam said to Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare me 7 bulls and 7 rams here. Balak did as Balaam said. Then Balak and Balaam offered a bull and a ram on each altar. And Balak said to Balaam, stand at your burnt offering while I go off, and maybe Adonai will come and meet me, and whatever he shows me, I will tell you. He went off to a bare hill. God met Balaam, who said to him, I prepared the 7 altars, and God met Balaam, who said to him, I prepared the 7 altars and offered a bull and a ram on each altar. Then Adonai put a word in Balaam's mouth and said, go back to Balak and speak as I tell you. He went back to him, and there, standing by his burnt offering, he, with all of his princes of Moab, he made this pronouncement. Balak, the king of Moab, brings me from Aram, from the eastern hills, saying, come, curse Yaakov for me, curse Jacob for me, Israel. Come and denounce Israel. How am I to curse those whom God has cursed? I'm sorry. How am I to curse those whom God has cursed? How am I to denounce those whom Adonai has not denounced? I'm sorry, not cursed. Wow, come on, brain. Kick in eyes. Okay. How am I to curse them who God has not cursed? Thank you there. Sorry about that. How am I to denounce those whom Adonai has not denounced? Like, how? They're blessed. I can't go against that. From the top of the rocks, I see them. From the hills, I behold them. Yes, a people that will dwell alone and not think itself one of the nations. Who has counted the dust of Yaakov or numbered the ashes of Israel? May I die as the righteous die. May my end be like theirs. Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? To curse my enemies is why I brought you, and here you have totally blessed them. And he answered, mustn't I take care to say just what Adonai puts in my mouth? Balaam's second oracle. Balak said to him, all right, come with me to another place where you can see them. You will see only some of them, not all, but you can curse them from me there. And he took with him through the field of Zophim to the top of the Pisgah range, built 7 altars, offered a bull and a ram on each offer. Balaam and Balak said to Balak, go stand here by your burnt offering, and I will go over there for a meeting. Adonai met Balaam, put a word in his mouth, and said, go back to Balak and speak as I tell you. He came to him and he stood by his burnt offering with all the princes of Moab, and Balak asked him, what did Adonai say? Then Balaam made his pronouncement. Get up, Balak, and listen. Turn your ears to me, son of Zippor. God is not a human who lies or a mortal who changes his mind. When he says something, he will do it. When he makes a promise, he will fulfill it. Look, I am ordered to bless when he blesses. I can't reverse it. No one has seen guilt in Yaakov or perceived perversely in Israel. Adonai, their God, is with them and acclaimed as king among them. God, who brought them out of Egypt, gives them strength as a wild ox. Thus one can't put a spell on Yaakov. No magic will work against Israel. It can now be said of Yaakov and Israel, what is this that God has done? I, I've been saying that a lot lately. Look at what the Father's done. Look what the Father's doing. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. And right here, you know, look what that God has done. What is this God has done? Here's a people rising up like a lioness, like a lion, he rears himself up. He will not lie down until he eats up the prey and drinks the blood of the slain. Balak said to Balaam, obviously you won't curse them, but at least don't bless them. However, Balaam answered Balak, didn't I warn you that I must do everything Adonai said? Balak said to Balaam, come, and I will take you now to another place, and maybe it will please God for you to curse them for me there. He obviously doesn't understand how this God, they have all their make-believe gods that they can have them do different things, but he doesn't see how this God works. Balak took Balaam to the top of Peor, overlooking the desert, and Balaam said to Balak, build me 7 altars here and prepare me 7 bulls and 7 rams. Balak did as Balaam said, and he offered a bull and a ram to each altar. And when Balaam saw that it pleased Adonai to bless Israel, I'm sorry, this is Balaam's third oracle. When Balaam saw that it pleased Adonai to bless Israel, he didn't go as the other times to make use of divination, but looked out toward the desert. Balaam raised his eyes and he saw Israel encamped tribe by tribe. Then the Spirit of God came upon him and he made this pronouncement. This is the speech of Balaam, son of Beor, the speech of the man whose eyes have been opened. Father opened his eyes and revealed his truth to him. And this is one of our foundation stones right here. And it says so much in how to live together and walk in his ways. So the speech of him who hears God's word, who sees what Shaddai sees, El Shaddai, who has fallen yet has opened eyes. So the speech of him who hears God's words, who sees what Shaddai sees, but who has fallen yet has opened eyes. How lovely are your tents, Yaakov, your encampments, Israel. So he's looking down on the tribes of Israel in their stations that we've been going over the past couple of portions where, 3 of them are to the east, south, west, north, and then the tribes of Levi are around the tabernacle, broke up east, south, north, west. And he looks down on this and this is what the Father puts in his mouth. How lovely are your tents, Yaakov, your encampments, Israel. They spread out like valleys, like gardens by the riverside, like succulent aloes planted by Adonai, like cedar trees next to the water. Ooh, sorry. Wave of emotion. It's just so beautiful. Water will flow from their branches, and their seeds will have water aplenty. Their king will be higher than Agag, and his kingdom lifted high. God, who brought them out of Egypt, gives them the strength of a wild ox, and they will devour the nations opposing them, breaking their bones, piercing them with their arrows. When they lie down, they crouch like a lion, like a lioness who dares to rouse it. Blessed be all who bless you, cursed be all who curse you. And I think why it's just so emotional is because there's so much cursing going on right now of Israel. And what these people are doing to themselves by cursing Israel is just so tragic. And it breaks my heart because, and you're going to see, we we curse ourselves when we speak against God's anointed. And it goes all the way. It's like David when he as a boy was anointed to be king, he knew that his time to be king wasn't at when Saul was still king, and he honored and he would not speak against Saul, who was trying to kill him and chasing him. He wouldn't speak against him or raise a hand against him because he knew that he was God's anointed and he honored that. And Israel is God's anointed. You can't read the Bible and not see that. And these people now that are coming out, I mean, and it's happened all through the ages, in Spain when they, either had to convert or die or leave in 19, was it not 1917, something 90, 40, when Columbus sailed the ocean blue, whenever that was, 1492. Thank you, Father. 1492 and ocean, but, and they say that, they think that they're saying that possibly Columbus was Jewish, and a lot of the people on the ships were Jews escaping um, persecution, and then the Nazis, and then it's. But look what happens. Those who curse Israel will be cursed. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. It's no joke. It is serious business. And it's heartbreaking to see people putting themselves under the curses, which then we're going to see here. Israel curses themselves, sadly. Anyway, Balak blazed with fury against Balaam, and he struck his hands together and he said to Balaam, I summoned you to curse my enemies, but here you have done nothing but bless them 3 times already. Now you had better escape to your own place. I had planned to reward you very well, but now Adonai has deprived you of your payment. Well, at least he has that right. Uh, Balaam answered Balak, did I tell the messengers you sent me? Even if Balak would give me his palace full of silver and gold, I could not of my own accord go beyond the word of Adonai to do either good or bad, that what Adonai said is what I would say. But now I am going back to my own people. Come, I will warn you what this people will do to you and your people in Ariat Hayimim, Balaam's final oracle. So he made his pronouncement. This is the speech of Balaam, son of Beor, the speech of the man whose eyes have been opened, the speech of him who hears God's words, who knows what Elohim knows, who sees what Shaddai sees, who has fallen yet has opened eyes. Open eyes. I see him, but not now. I behold him, but not soon. A star will step forth from Yaakov. A scepter will rise from Israel to crush the corners of Moab and destroy all the descendants of Het. His enemies will be his possessions, Edom and Seir, possessions. Israel will do valiantly. From Yaakov will come someone who will rule and will destroy what is left of the city. I saw Amalek and made this pronouncement. First among the nations was Amalek, but destruction will be its end. I saw the Canaanite made this pronouncement. Though your dwelling is firm, your nest is on a rock. Cain will be wasted while captive to Ashur. Finally, he made this pronouncement: "Oh no, who can live when God does this? But ships will come from the coast of Kittim to subdue Ashur and subdue ever, but they will come to destruction." Then Balaam got up, left, and returned to his home, and Balak went his way. Kind of anticlimactic. It was like, oh, okay, bye. Baal worship at Peor. You know, we're so blessed. And then something snares us and we make a wrong decision. Thankfully, through his grace and mercy, takes those wrong decisions and he ends up blessing us in the end. But we do have to suffer consequences sometimes. So Baal worship at Peor. Is this, is it 24? Yep. Yep. Okay. Israel stayed at Shittim, and there the people began whoring with women of Moab. So this, and and this is legend again. The sages that Balaam, he he could, he went through, this is what's going to happen to you, and but he couldn't curse Israel, but he taught Balak Balak how to get Israel to curse themselves, to send seductive women, the Moabites. He was just Balak, he's the king of the Moabites, send seductive women down into their territory to seduce them. The enemy in all his tricks. So Israel stayed in Shittim, and there the people began whoring with women of Moab. These women invited the people to sacrifices of their gods, where the people ate and bowed down to their gods. With Israel thus joined to Baal Peor, the anger of Adonai blazed up against Israel. Adonai said to Moshe, "Take all the chiefs of the people and hang them facing the sun before Adonai, so that the raging fury of Adonai will turn away from Israel." Moshe sought the judges of Israel. Each of you is to put to death those in his tribe who have joined themselves to Baal Peor. Just then, in the sight of Moshe and the whole community of Israel, as they were weeping at the entrance of the tent, okay, they are at the tent, right in front of the tent, the tabernacle, weeping there over what they're doing. And a man from Israel came by, bringing to his family a woman from Midian. So an Israelite man brought a Midian woman, the women that they sent down to seduce. And basically, what he's saying is they were having sex right there in front of everybody. In front, this is the legend from Jewish sages as and oral tradition, oral Torah. Um, that they were having sex right there in front of the tabernacle, in front of all the people. And Pincus, woo, a righteous man, the son of Eleazar. So he's in the priestly line, the son of Aaron the Cohen. So he's Aaron's grandson. Saw it, and he got up from the middle of the crowd, and he took a spear in his hand, and he pushed the man from Israel right into the inner part of the tent, so into the tabernacle, where he thrust his spear through both of them. So they were having sex right there, to where they were close enough to be pushed right into the tabernacle. And the man from Israel and the woman through her stomach. Thus was the plague among the people of Israel stopped. Another plague, because they were pouring, they cursed themselves. Nevertheless, 24,000 died in this plague. This is, yeah, maybe this is one of the ways they're getting rid of that whole last generation before they move in. Anyway, so and then next week we'll read about the zeal of Phineas Pincus. Love that, love that man. Okay, so the next is Micah 5. There we go. 5. All right. and it's 5:6 through 6:8. So then the remnant of Yaakov, surrounded by many peoples, will be like dew from Adonai, like showers on the grass, which doesn't wait for a man or expect anything from mortals. What's going on here? I see whenever they jump in like this, I want to find out what's going on. So the ruler to be born in Bethlehem. But you, Bethlehem, near Ephrat, so small among you, the clans of Yehuda, out of you will come forth to me the future ruler of Israel, whose origins are far in the past, back in the ancient times, our Messiah, who was with the Father in creating everything, the creator of all things. Therefore, he will give up Israel only he will give up Israel only until she who is in labor gives birth. Then the rest of his kinmen will return to the people of Israel. He will stand at the feet of his flock in the strength of Adonai, in the majesty of the name of Adonai his God, and will stay put as he grows great to the very ends of the earth. And this will be peace. And this will be peace. If Ashur invades our land and if he overruns our fortresses, we will raise 7 shepherds against him, 8 leaders of men. They will shepherd the land of Ashur with the sword and the land of Nimrod at the gates, and he will rescue us from Ashur when he invades our land. Okay. And then it says, then the remnant of Yaakov, surrounded by many peoples, will be like dew from Adonai, like showers on the grass, which doesn't wait for a man or expect anything from mortals. The remnant of Yaakov among the nations, surrounded by the people, will be like a lion. You know, it's interesting, all these years in the Christian church, and they would talk about the remnant, the end time remnant, the remnant. But it's the remnant of Jacob, the remnant of Israel. You know, the church, the replacement theology is so sad because it's the remnant of Israel, Jacob. And we can be grafted in. Like a young lion among flocks of sheep, if it passes through, tramples, or tears to pieces, there is no one to rescue them. Your hand will be raised over your enemies, all of your adversaries will be destroyed. When that day comes, says Adonai, I will cut you off. I will cut off your horses and among I will cut off your horses from among you and destroy your chariots. I will cut off the cities of your land and lay waste to your strongholds, and I will cut off sorceries from the land. You will no longer have soothsayers, and I will cut off your carved images and the standing stones from among you, and no longer will you worship what your own hands have made. I will pull up your sacred poles from among you and destroy your enemies, and I will wreak vengeance in anger and fury on the nations because they would not listen. So listen now to what Adonai says. Stand up and state your case to the mountains. Let the hills hear what you have to say. Listen, mountains, to Adonai's case. Also, you enduring rocks that support the earth. Adonai has a case against his people. He wants to argue it out with Israel. My people, what have I done to you? How have I wearied you? Answer me. I brought you up out of the land of Egypt. I redeemed you from a life of slavery. I sent Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam to lead you. The people just remember what Balak, the king of Moab, had planned, what Balaam, the son of Peor, answered him, and what happened between Shittim and Gilgal, so that you will understand the saving deeds of Adonai. What does the Lord require? One of my favorite verses. With what you with what can I come before Adonai to bow down before God on high? Should I come before him with burnt offerings, with calves in their first year? When Adonai take delight in thousands of rams, with 10,000 rivers of oil, could I give my firstborn to pay for my crimes, the fruit of my body for the sins of my soul? Human being, you have already been told what is good and what Adonai demands of you, no more than to act justly, love grace, and walk in purity with your God. There it is. There it is. Act justly, love grace and mercy, and walk in purity with your God. One of my very favorites. Okay. And then the last is, oh no, I got 2 more because we have a couple, because it's a double portion. John 19:38. 19. 38 through 42 down here. Okay. Jesus is buried. After this, Joseph of Ramatayim, who is a Talmud of Yeshua, he was a disciple of Jesus, but a secret one out of fear of the Judeans, asked Pilate if he could have Yeshua's body, Jesus's body, and Pilate gave his consent. So Joseph, this is Joseph of Arimathea, Joseph of Arimathea, that in regular in English Bibles, and it's Joseph of Ramatayim. So Joseph came and took the body away. Also, Nicodemus, who had first gone to see Yeshua by night, came with some 70 pounds of silver and a mixture of myrrh and aloe. And they took Yeshua's body and wrapped it in the linen sheets with spices, in keeping with Judean burial practices. In the vicinity of where he had been executed was a garden, and in the garden was a new tomb in which no one had ever been buried. So because it was preparation day, so it was a Friday for the Judeans, and because the tomb was close by, that is where they buried Yeshua. And 1942 through 42. Okay, and now Matthew 21. 1 through 11. As they were approaching Jerusalem, they came to Bet Pagi on the Mount of Olives, and Yeshua sent two Teledim, two of his disciples, with these instructions: go into the village ahead of you, and you will immediately find a donkey tethered there with its colt. Untie them and bring them to me. Bring both of them. Interesting. I think I just saw that for the first time, to bring the donkey and the colt. If anyone says anything to you, tell him the Lord needs them, and he will let them go at once. This happened in order to fulfill what had been spoken through the prophet. Say to the daughter of Zion, look, your king is coming to you riding humbly on a donkey and on a colt, the offspring of a beast of burden. So the Taladim, the disciples, went and did as Yeshua had directed them. They brought the donkey and the colt and put their robes on them, and Yeshua sat on them. Crowds of people carpeted the road with their clothing, while others cut branches from trees and spread them on the road. The crowds ahead of him and behind shouted, please deliver us. Greek, English, Hosanna. Hosanna translates Hebrew Hosanna, which means please save us. To the Son of David, blessed is he who comes in the name of Adonai. You in the highest heaven, please deliver us. And when he entered Jerusalem, the whole city was stirred. Who is this? They asked. And the clouds answered, this is Yeshua, the prophet from Nazareth Nazareth in Galilee. So in Nazareth, in the Galil. All right. So thank you for coming along with me today. The double portion, so much in there. If you want to go deeper, we've got our calls on Thursdays. If you want to learn more about that, let me know, and we can get you in on our calls. We have a noon call, which, see, I've got to start preparing for a noon call, and then we have this noon Pacific time and a 4 o'clock Pacific time. So we're trying to make it to where more people who are in different time zones and have different commitments can be able to join the calls. So be blessed. Thank you so much for your support, your encouragement, and I just, Father Yah, everyone who listens to this, Father, just bless their life with abundance of peace. Father, shower them with your peace, with your grace and mercy, and give them a passion and a desire to walk in your way and to surrender their very being unto the death to serve you, so that they can become who it is that you created them to be. In Yeshua's name, amen. All right, Yah willing, sometime next week, I apologize that these are so erratic. Please be patient with me. I'm traveling, and when I'm not traveling, I'm trying to take care of all the things I need to be able to travel, which is a huge change in my life because I've been very housebound and sedentary for the last decade. And so last year, he healed a lot of things and gave me the energy. You know what? He gave me my energy back. I got to realize I'm a 64-year-old woman, and this is probably normal energy for a 64-year-old woman. But I want the energy of my 30-year-old self that I had, but that's not going to happen. Um, so yeah, I'm going to be traveling next week. Yeah, and I got a lot going on. Um, Hopefully Monday I can do the next one so that it's not so late in the week. Um, but yeah, I have a major medical treatment happening on Tuesday. If you can be in prayer, I would be so appreciated. I'm going to be having um, a ketamine infusion for pain. And so, yeah, if you could be praying for that, if the Spirit leads you, that would be fabulous. And then right after that, I leave for a couple of weeks to house sit my girlfriend Gina's home. And so while I'm there, I'll be able to record. But next week, we'll see when it ends up happening. So I know that Tuesday and Wednesday are going to be full. Monday, hopefully, I'll be able to get it recorded. So, anyway, thank you so much. Be blessed. Prayerfully see you next week. Love you all.